And I may be switching, hopefully, to uh, a different phone really shortly. But I just wanted to see if you all were up there.
Yeah, we are. We are.
And
Greetings, sis. Can you tell us your name, where you're calling from?
Ron K, upstate New York.
Ron K from upstate New York.
Yes.
Okay. Bao, who is from upstate New York?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. Rochester, New York.
Oh, really? That's
Absolutely.
where I'm at. So we're gonna have.
Oh, there you go. Fantastic.
Like I said, hopefully I'll get my family and kids up here soon, but I'm gonna have to switch. I'm about to head out of my office and go down to the car where the phone is. So we'll see how that works.
All right. All right. So glad you're here. Like I said, we're giving people just one more minute to come in, and then we will get started.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know if you can do this on a phone actually, but while we are just giving that one more minute, if you would if you'd like to, put your name and email address in the text chat, and then we can add you to our Kibole Bole list, so you can be, abreast of the things we've got going on.
That's right. That's right.
All right, it's 7:15, y'all. If you want to go ahead.
I will go ahead. Welcome all. Thank you for coming today. This is our second set regarding Araminta. The presentation we'll be doing will be by Ayodele Duduyemi. My wife, Evelyn Duduyemi, will be helping us with technical support today. And I am Baoku Duduyemi. I'm the author of A is for Africa, S is for Sovereignty, which is an African-centered alphabet book for children and adults. The focus of that book is to create warriors and healers and builders out of our children, and to teach adults how to guide our children in that process. And tonight, part of the work we'll be doing is an extension of that work that we do in the book. So if there are two things you can do for me, I want you to write down these two names: Kibole Bole Educational Institute. Evelyn Duduyemi is the head of Kibole Bole Educational Institute, and they bring you this presentation this evening. The second name I want you to write down is AYA, that's A-Y-A, Educational Institute. And I didn't spell Kibole Bole, I will spell that for you. It's K-I-B-O-L-E-B-O-L-E. Kibole Bole Educational Institute. And I appreciate all of you coming. This is our second set that we're doing on the Araminta story. We did a set on Monday. We think it went well. We had some folks participating. We're going to run it back one more time for folks who couldn't make it. And so what we're going to do is, let me tell you a little bit about why we're here. We're going to analyze and discuss the Harriet Tubman trailer. And this is going to lead up to a review of the Harriet movie, both done by Ayodele Duduyemi. She's going to tell us tonight in her presentation what she noticed in the trailer, and she's going to tell us what she thinks we should look out for in the trailer. And this is based on many of the things that she learned as a Kibole Bole student, as an educational student, about Araminta herself and the Araminta story. And when I say Araminta, I'm actually referring to Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman's name was Araminta, which is the name given to her by her mother. And and when Ayodele learned much of this information, she learned about Araminta. She also learned about a few things called injected racial scripts. So you're going to be learning what we know about Araminta and what she knows about injected racial scripts. If you don't know what a script is basically a story. It's a story from someone else's perspective other than your own that directs you to essentially work on their behalf or serve them. And these scripts work in opposition to what we preach. They work in opposition to us fighting and healing and building for ourselves. So it's important that we recognize them and counter them so that we can do the work that we want to do for our people. So our goal tonight, number one, will be to enhance your viewing of Harriet Tubman, the movie. So we want to enhance your enjoyment of understanding her story, rather, not just the movie. We really want to enhance your understanding of her story. And we want to do that by helping you identify the powerful doings, the inspirational doings of Araminta Harriet Tubman, so that you yourself can recognize them and model them and celebrate them. Us meaning you and your youth. And we also want you to identify the injected racial scripts and learn how to counter those scripts so that we can begin to tell stories from our perspective, for our purposes, for our people. So what's going to happen now is Ayodele is going to take over. She's going to go into her presentation. I will support her after that presentation is done, and then we'll open it up for discussion. If you want to, you can type questions into the text chat. I'll remind people who enter and exit during the presentation if I can. Ayo?
Hello everyone, my name is Aya, and this is my presentation on preparation and protection. I am 13 years old in the 8th grade, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and go to Kibole Bole Educational Institute and Aya Educational Institute. Most of the things that I learned and will be talking about, I learned at Aya Educational Institute. And those classes, or the places I got the information from, are the classes there that are following Araminta and countering injected racial scripts. Those are 2 classes that I've taken multiple times at Aya. This is Harriet Tubman. We all know who Harriet Tubman is. She was a great woman and went back. She first freed herself and then went back again to free her family, and then multiple times again to free people who weren't blood related to her. And she did that between 13 to 16 or 19 times. We don't know. It could be more, it could be less, it could be right in the middle. We weren't there, so we don't exactly know the right number.
Is Rehani up? Rehani.
Greetings, brother. We're so happy to have you on. Brother, what I'm going to do is go ahead and mute you for the moment, and then, or actually, you may have to, since you are the host. And then when we open for questions, right, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Let's see. There we go. So this is the trailer for the new Harriet Tubman movie. The first time I saw this trailer, I don't know where I was, but I know that I was scrolling through YouTube trying to find something to watch. I clicked on this video. I think it was like an arts video. I don't know, something that I liked. And this trailer came up, and I wasn't really that excited about it. It was just like any other thing or any other ad. They show a movie and you just watch it or skip it. And I was paying enough attention to this trailer to be able to know when to press the skip button. The second time I was watching the trailer came up. There was no skip button to press, so I ended up having to watch it all the way through. And when I did that, I noticed that like Beyonce was singing the song and Janelle Monáe was playing one of the characters, but I didn't notice anything more than that. I kind of was just focusing on what I wanted to watch or what I wanted to do. The third time, and third, fourth, and fifth time that I saw this trailer, I was watching it with my mom after I got home from my grandmother's, and after I told her that I got permission to teach this class. And so once we watched the trailer a few times and I was actually paying attention this time, I was able to see some things that I agreed about, like I agreed with, but I also saw some things that I disagreed with and thought could possibly cause problems in a way. So those are the 2 things I will be talking to you about. But first, let's watch the trailer. Now, I can't play this on my computer, so I'll ask my mother to play it for me.
There's not much time. You got to be miles away from here for dawn. Where is she? Follow that North Star. If there are no stars, just follow the river. Listen for them. Fear is your enemy. Whoa, easy now.
I'm gonna be free or die.
I don't know if you know how extraordinary this is, but you have made it 100 miles to freedom all by yourself. Would you like to pick a new name to mark your freedom?
Harriet Tubman. You are welcome here anytime. If I'm free, my family should be too. I made up my mind, I'm going back. You're confident, composed. When trouble comes, you'll be ready.
Papers. Says here you're 5.5 feet tall. You ain't more than 5 feet.
Must have won my high boots that day.
Why you back here? It ain't safe.
I come to get you. Bring all of you to freedom.
Do you know what would happen if you got caught? You got lucky, Harriet.
I made it this far on my own, so don't you tell me what I can't do.
Harriet, welcome to the Underground Railroad. Everybody, everywhere is looking for you.
God don't mean people to own people. Find this thief and burn her at the stake.
Harriet!
I would give every last drop of blood in my veins until this monster called slavery is dead. Ready?
Okay, so now that we've watched that, here are some things that I noticed that were like right and true about the trailer. The first thing is that her father told her that that to be able to get to the north, you had to follow the North Star, and if there were no stars out, then you followed the river. Another thing that's true is that she did say, and I got this from a book that we read while I was taking this the Araminta class in Aya. I can't remember the name of the book right now, but they did say that she actually said, if I'm free, then my family should be free as well. And here are some things that I think were wrong about the trailer. The fact that they said that she did all the stuff that she did without any help, which is not true. The first time she escaped from the plantation, she went on her own, but she got instruction from her father on how to get there, which is help basically. And when she went back to get her family, and even more so when she went back to get other people, there had to be a plan. The people had to be organized. She needed help to be able to organize and get that many people out of captivity, especially with the reward that was on her head. Another thing that I noticed I was wrong was that they said fear was your enemy. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is one of the things that helps you stay alive. It makes sure you know it makes sure you see and notice the danger, and then from there you can go and see how to handle that danger and what to do. And without that feeling of fear, you don't know what to do, how and when to do it in some type of situation that might be dangerous. There are multiple scripts in this trailer. One of the scripts I saw was the SHT script. The SHT script is the superhero trap. It basically makes us think that this person is better than us or smarter than us because they could do all these things, and we could never do that. It makes us feel like we're not like them or the same person as them. And when it comes to Harriet Tubman, it can make us feel like she's better than us, or she was smarter than us, she was braver than us, when really she was just like us. She was an ordinary person. She just did extraordinary things. Another script that's in here is a script that one of my friends mentioned to me last time we did this. It is the OCD, I believe.
It is UBO that you are looking for.
That's right.
Okay, not that one. Okay, UBO. Yes, UBO, which means Universal Black Orphan. Because she realized that when in the trailer, when they were saying if to follow the stars, and if there are no stars, follow the river, I know that her dad said that, and I could kind of picture him saying that, especially with the man's voice that they were playing. But they never actually said in the trailer that that was her father saying those words. They could have said that it was like in her head, a dream or something else like that. And UBO is basically when they say that this one person was all alone. They didn't have any family, no community, or they make it so that you don't see the family or community around, helping out, like in their life, really. So it makes you feel like they were all alone. And some things to keep in mind are that the movie is most likely going to be a good movie. I believe judging by the trailer, I think they did a pretty good job. And we shouldn't discount the movie or the people who made it just because of these scripts, because I'm sure there are a lot more in there, because I see 2 already in the trailer. But that doesn't mean that they didn't do a good job, because we're constantly being shown and pushed these scripts and media and basically everywhere we go. And this story that they're doing or playing out, I guess, in this movie is a story that we're most of the time told about Harriet Tubman. Like if you go out on the street and ask somebody to tell you the story of Harriet Tubman, this is probably what they're going to say. And that's it.
Excellent work, Ayo. Thank you very much for presenting that once again. I'm really proud of you doing this work. I'm going to have you go back to the screen where you talk about Harriet Tubman's father, or Araminta's father, telling her to follow the river and head north. Can you do that for me, please? All right. So one of the reasons you'll hear Ayo talk about what was right and what was wrong, and why you'll hear her say that that was Araminta's father, is because that was the first story that Ayodele learned. See, it's the stories that we learn first that inform all the other stories that we hear after. And so Ayodele trusts our story. She trusts our story because she trusts her parents, and she trusts her teachers, and she trusts that we're going to get her to where she needs to go. And that's super important. See, The same way, Io trusts us the same way Araminta trusted her father, telling her to follow the river and head north. And African people are going to have to get skilled at building this type of trust if we're going to get ourselves to the promised land like Araminta tried to do, especially in an environment like this where distrust between us, between African people, is being induced. So I want you to keep that in mind. We have to build trust. The second thing I want to talk about is what she talks about second here, is if I am free, my family should be free. Now, I don't know if she meant her nuclear family, and I don't know if she meant her extended African family. And, watching an African person, an African woman, dedicated and determined to save African people excites me wherever I see it. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Would you want to see your family and your community free? Of course you'd want to see your family and your community free, because that just makes Black sense. And I welcome a chance to see it in this movie, because we didn't get to see it in movies like Django, where he just went back to save his wife and his wife only. We don't get to see that in a number of movies that Hollywood puts out. So I look forward to see if they follow that up. Is Harriet going back for just her husband or just her family? Or is she going back for everybody? And the reason I want to see that is because we need to see heroes that are focused on saving African people, not just individual people. And I think Araminta did just that. She saved our people, not just individual people. Aldela, can you switch to the next screen? I believe you talked about Araminta not doing it all by herself. That's right, not doing it without help. See, if we're going to teach our children to enjoy movies and at the same time view these movies critically, doing this instead of just avoiding watching the movies, period, then we're going to have to become skilled at identifying a few things. See, we're going to have to identify, interrupt, and counter some of the scripts that we see. And one of those scripts is called the superhero trap. We see superheroes like Luke Cage. We see superheroes like Black Panther, people who do things in movies that we can't actually do. And so what happens is we end up not attempting to do these things. So in this case, the superhero trap appears to rear its head when she says, "You made it to freedom all by yourself." The gentleman talking to Araminta says, "You made it to freedom all by yourself." Or, "I don't think you know how extraordinary this is." He made it sound as if it was almost impossible for her to have made that journey. And if it's impossible for her to make that journey, then what type of powers, what type of superpowers must she have had? Like Io said, she said, we want to teach extraordinary people, our people, to do extraordinary things. And we can use Araminta as a model if she's being portrayed in that way as an ordinary person doing extraordinary things. What happens when the superhero trap takes hold is that we either give up completely or we satisfy ourselves with a fantasized victory. And we want to avoid both those things. The next thing I want to talk about is fear as your enemy. This is critical. Al did a great job explaining it. Fear is not our enemy. Fear is a messenger. Fear is a messenger that tells us two things. One, that there's a danger, and that's extra important. The danger to Araminta, the first danger I noticed was captivity itself. And she, having identified the danger, got herself some protection by escaping. The second time I think the danger rears its head is when she's on the bridge being surrounded by the captors and decides to jump. She recognized the potential danger of being recaptured, and she was able to then engage her intellect and come up with a solution. It's a protection for her. See, scares just tell us that there's a danger and that we deserve reassurance, protection, or support. And we become skilled at recognizing that, and we can become skilled at coming up with solutions to address those dangers, just like Araminta did. All right, now Ayodele told you to keep a few things in mind. She told you to keep in mind that I'm sure these people did their best work, or perhaps they did their best work. We'll see. And regardless of who did their best work, when we all try to do our best work, we're still subject to sometimes to this injected oppression. So what I mean is we begin to hear stories and we begin to tell stories from other people's perspectives. And we have to come out from that by learning to tell our stories from our perspective. And this includes the Araminta story. We've heard stories from other people's perspective. And as we learn to use our Black sense, as we learn to trust in the people who tell us the stories that we believe are true about Araminta, we begin to tell those stories from our perspective to other people and tell the warrior healer builder story of Araminta and begin to inspire and teach others how to become skilled at doing the same. Because to effectively learn how to serve our people, we need to learn how to tell these stories. We call it from the inside out. And if you want to know more about telling stories from the inside out, just again, leave your information in the text chat and we'll contact you about that, because we have a class where we talk about telling stories from the inside out. Overall, I think the trailer, it looks promising, and we can't tell if they're actually going to tell the story from our perspective or from someone else's perspective. And therefore, when you're getting ready to watch a movie like this, there are certain protections and preparation that is useful to put in place. And one of those is to begin to think about what types of scripts that might hit you, that might come at you during the showing of this movie. One of those I talked about was the Universal Black Orphan. What Hollywood usually does is they create a character, there's an African character that doesn't have any family, they don't have any community, they don't have any culture, and in the end, they end up serving somebody else's community and culture. And that is what I want you to look out for. Let's take a look at the movie, judge it up front. Let's see what they do with that character. Are they going to actually show Araminta? They have a nod to perhaps showing her family. They have a nod to perhaps showing that. Are they also going to show some of her contemporaries who are also freedom fighters, who also supported her during that time? Or are they going to leave her all by herself, like a universal Black orphan, like a soul superhero? There's another script I want you to take aware of. It's called Morality in Service of Oppression. Morality in Service of Oppression tells us that it's more moral for African people, it's more moral in general to kill African people than it is to kill other folks. And Hollywood has a good penchant for doing that and putting those in the videos. Therefore, let's see when we go to the movie, let's see if she's allowed to kill any white folk. Let's see if she's allowed to kill them to protect herself or protect other people. That's usually a taboo in some of these Hollywood movies, and it just doesn't make Black sense if you're going the distance that she went. So look out for that. We also want to look out for the Great White Hope. If you don't know what that is, you probably saw it if you watched Black Panther. And I don't know, you could name a ton of movies where the Great White Hope takes into effect. It's some white person in the movie is elevated to the position of savior, and he saves Black people in the movie. So without his participation, we couldn't have a victory on our own. So let's see if this movie does that. I can't tell by the trailer whether they're going to do that or not, but I want to look out for it because we want to protect ourselves and our children from believing those particular stories about our victories. I mean, Araminta is a hero. It's a hero that has a strong victory for our people. We don't want to be tainted by someone else's perspective, especially a story about a white person being elevated to savior, especially the savior of our hero Araminta. And the last thing I want you to take a look out for is Black on Black violence. That's something that is placed into the movies by Hollywood, usually in place of Black on white violence. So let's see how they portray African on African interactions in this movie as well. So I think that that's it for our presentation. I want to open it up to everyone to see if you have any questions of Ayodele, if you have any questions of me. You can all open your mics if you like.
I just want to say greetings to Sister Cecilia, right, and Sister Rayani. Certainly, this is a time for discussion and questions. And also, before you go, I want to, get your contact information. So if you would leave your email address in the text chat, right, so we can keep you up to date on Kibole Bole offerings.
Oh, and we're back. The sister from upstate New York is back.
Yes, we're actually watching
unfortunately, we had just finished the presentation by Ayodele, and I did follow up with support on the presentation in the question and answer section of the Araminta, the Harriet trailer. And if you want to participate to field any questions that you have, along with everyone else who's on, you can open up your mics if you like and field questions.
I actually did have a question about what class I took to talk about the different scripts and different things. Like, I loved how you were identifying different things, but you definitely had, I don't know if it was a list or just a concept of certain things to look for.
Oh, okay. So, just to make sure I have the right question, you're asking what class I took, where I learned all these scripts from, correct? Okay, well, I took this class at Aya Educational Institute called Countering Injected Racial Scripts. That's where I learned about all the scripts. There are a bunch of others. And the person who teaches at Aja Wokesa, or that's what we call him in school, Aja Wokesa, he goes in depth to almost all of them and presents about them all over the place. So yes, that's how I learned. That's who I learned it from.
And so Aya Educational Institute is an African-centered online school, right? As is Kibole Bole Educational Institute. And so classes take place in this same format that we're in now, right? So students from all over the country, right, come into Zoom rooms where they meet with their instructors live, right? And so there are tons of fabulous classes, right? And you can access those and learn more about that at ayaed.com, right? AYAED.com.
And though these classes aren't offered to the students all the time, because there's a rotation of classes that are offered, the classes that I took actually are offered outside of the school by those who are allowed to teach them. So Aja Wokesa has often and at times done a class called Countering Injected Racial Scripts. And he also has a class called the Araminta Story. And as part of this series that we're doing, we first did a review of the trailer. We'll be doing a review of the movie, and then we'll follow it up with an offering of the Araminta Story, which is a story based on the research that Aja Wokesa has done. And both Ayo and I have taken that class and are allowed to teach that class about the Araminta Story. And we'll probably do that along with Aja Wokesa and the Countering Injected Racial Scripts class as well. I am what's called a Warrior Healer Builder, Aya Education Institute Warrior Healer Builder Facilitator. It's a designation after study in many of the things many of the topics and many of the tools that we discuss when we talk about Araminta and her story, or when we talk about fear and things of that nature. So there's a host of classes that we offer, and we'll be introducing you to those as we go through reviewing Araminta and the Araminta Story and Araminta the movie. So Countering Injected Racial Scripts, if you're interested in that class, just type it into the text chat, give us your information, and I'll see how many people are interested in taking the Countering Injected Racial Scripts class, And if enough people want to do that, then I will make sure that I present that class. And if you are interested in taking learning the Araminta story, it's the Araminta story from our perspective, type your information into the text chat, say you want to know about the Araminta story. And that will be happening as a part of this process as we go from reviewing the trailer to reviewing the movie to then getting people on board with understanding the Araminta story. So it's 3 sections to this series of presentations that we'll be doing. So I see something's in the chat. Let me make sure. All right. So any other questions? Oh, we got anything else?
All right. Thank you so much. I'm Cecilia for your contact info. And then this is, let's see, is it the same person? I was thinking it was you switching. Rayani, right? Are the two of y'all connected? Or is Rayani an entirely separate person?
That's my daughter.
Yeah, I thought that was you said you were going to switch to another, right? Okay, so we've got that. We got that. Okay.
And now we're here. We just got home, so
yeah, that's what you said. You were switching to the car and everything. I was like, I think that's still them. They're just
excellent.
Different devices.
We're glad to have you on. But let me ask you a question, if you don't mind. Are you homeschooling? What type of schooling do you do currently?
Yes, we have just started homeschooling Rayhani, my 5th grader, this year. The others are still at the moment in public school.
Public school.
Excellent.
So, Cecilia, I see you. Looks like you're trying to talk. It looks like you're trying to come in. We would love to hear from you.
Hi, my name is Cecilia, and I was introduced to you all through Girl Trek. I got online a little bit late, and so I am new to this, but I am very interested in the opportunities that you all present, the classes, things like that. So I put my information in so that I could receive more information about what you all offer.
Excellent. And where are you from? What city are you in?
I'm in St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. There we go.
Yeah.
So Ayo, why don't you show the flyer, because we'll be meeting again after people have had a chance to see the movie.
And I will go see, I'm scheduled to go with a group of women Friday to see the movie.
Right, yeah. Lots of people with lots of groups.
Yeah.
So we'll have the second part on the 12th, right?
Right. My daughter and I will go see the movie, and then we will schedule a review of the movie. We'll having asked people to take a look and be prepared for particular things they might see on screen to prepare themselves for the scripts. We'll go about how to not only identify, but how to interrupt them, and then what to do after. Because it's hard to tell people to just become a hermit and not watch movies to prevent themselves from having this information injected in them. And we can tell them to take certain steps to address it. And that's what we do. So we'll be going to take a look at it. And for those of you I didn't say, my wife is Evelyn Duduyemi. If you didn't hear that earlier, she is the head of Kibole Bole Educational Institute. She is a school of her own. She offers math and science courses for all ages, really, but primarily middle school and high school. And she also does work with younger children as well. You can explain anything you want, honey.
I think that was pretty good. It's math and science from an African perspective, right? So African-centered math and science classes for the most part. And those take place, again, in the same sort of form, right? On Zoom in the same form.
Right. And most of you weren't in when I explained who I am and what I do. I'm Baoku Duduyemi. I am not only Evelyn Duduyemi's husband, I'm the author of A is for Africa, S is for Sovereignty. It's an African-centered children's book. It's an alphabet book for both children and adults. So it teaches children, I want to teach them and to develop them into warriors, healers, and builders for our people. And it also helps teach adults how to guide their children in that process and themselves in that process. And I am, again, a facilitator, a warrior, healer, builder, facilitator. We say warrior because we want to fight the people's policies and practices that aggress upon our people. We want to heal because our people have wounds that have come down a family line, and also wounds from current oppression of today that need to be healed. And we want to build trust amongst each other so that we can build the families and the communities and the businesses and the organizations that we need to help our people survive and advance.
And so the question in the text chat is, did we record it? And we are, right? And you'll forgive us, it'll take us a little bit. We recorded on Monday too, but then the uploading to YouTube so we could send it out, right? Didn't quite work out as we'd hoped, right? We are better educators than we are computer technicians, right? So we've got to figure that out. But we do have the recordings, and I'm sure that we will be able to figure it out so we can get it on YouTube. We'll definitely send that out. All right?
Absolutely.
And I have a question because I don't know if I'm familiar with Girl Trek.
So Girl Trek is a national organization that was founded by two young African-American women, I believe back in 1985, who were in college, and they sort of were taking a look around their own communities and seeing how the women in particular in their Black communities were suffering with, obesity and diabetes and high blood pressure, and tried to figure out a way to be able to help their communities, and giving the sort of socioeconomic problems that we sometimes have attaching to gyms, things like that. What could we do? We can walk. And so they started out walking. And so that is what this is. And so we trek. A trek is considered 30 minutes in sneakers, deliberately walking. And we have girl trekkers throughout the world now. We have them now in South Africa and Ghana and Kenya, all over the United States. We do a walk we follow what is called the Harriet doctrine. And so we have a walk once a year where we walk part of the Underground Railroad Trail for 3 days, about 20 miles a day. And so we sort of train to do that. And so that pretty much is what Girl Trek is. It's free. We do what we wear superhero blue, because the other thing that we want to do is save our communities. And so we want people to know what we look like. We want them to see us out in our communities walking, recruiting other women, being mindful and deliberate in saving our communities and saving Black women.
Fantastic. I can't believe I haven't heard of it before. I'm so glad to learn about it today.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just phenomenal.
Look it up. It's girltrek.org, and it's a free organization to join. And once you join Girl Trek, like after you do your first 5 walks, you get a free T-shirt. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of motivation for you to do it. It is an amazing sisterhood of women. I can tell you just story after story after story of literally how we oftentimes save each other's lives. And here in St. Louis, we experience a lot of violence and death, and it is a great network for a lot of those moms who have experienced that.
Fantastic. I'm so happy to learn about it. I will definitely be looking at
it. I think, isn't it also true of Girl Trek that one of the leaders, I can't remember which one, but she was a teacher, and she kind of started Girl Trek with her students, which is how the started.
No,
she was girls, and then it there, or no?
No, actually, it's 2 women, Morgan, and of course her name is not going to come to me right now. Right. They actually were students. They were roommates in college. Is how Girl Trek sort of got started.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Okay. And I see in the text that you already have the book, so that is great.
Yeah, right? And me and my daughter do Girl Trek too.
They've got A's for Africa.
Excited.
Oh, wow. Somebody has it. Okay.
How are you enjoying the book, or how are your children enjoying the book?
They loved it. We read it. I can't remember. I don't remember how long we had it.
Oh.
We read a lot of books.
Unfortunately, breaking up.
Unfortunately, she's breaking up for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. We couldn't quite understand. You were breaking up a bit. We didn't quite understand what you were saying.
Oh, I just said I don't recall how long we've had it, but it's definitely our rotation of books that we read.
Yeah, but here, it's not even that. What is it?
We really love
music?
how it kind of it rhymes, and it has some additional Swahili words. I think I remember Kuji Jakali and Kuji Wale or something like that. That's about the self. Yeah.
That is excellent. I appreciate the purchase. I don't believe I have it in the Black bookstore in Rochester. I think it's Moods Music in Rochester. I'm not. I know I don't have it yet, and so we will see if we can get it closer to you. And I want to remind my wife, who is a Sacred Woman practitioner and mentor, that she has a event at 8 p.m.
We do.
She's a practitioner, woman, a Queen of Food, a Sacred Woman practitioner and wellness coach. So, yeah, well, if you know who Queen of Food is or not, you can look her up. But she does a lot of things. This woman, and so I had to remind her.
So yes, we do very much appreciate you coming. And we've got in this space coming up now. People will be coming in for an orientation for a class called "Let Your Authenticity Be Your Allure," and so we close this up now so that we can make space for that. And we want to end with appreciations. It is an Aya tradition and has become a Kiboli Boli tradition to end all of our sessions with appreciations. And so I want to start by saying I appreciate y'all coming, right? Definitely appreciate y'all coming to hear from Ayo and to hear from Baoku. And I appreciate learning about Grow Trek because I know, and that sounds awesome. So I'm glad to know.
Join us.
And I appreciate you coming in to participate because it's very important that we get our story out. I mean, not to prove anyone else's story wrong, but to get our story out to our people so that we can have the effect on ourselves and our children that we want. And we can have that effect regardless of what movies are out. And I just want to get people interested in understanding what to look out for without beating up on anyone who might have written a movie, because I wasn't given the Araminta story that I know until I was a grown man. Wow. And until then, I perpetuated the same stories that everyone else did. So I appreciate you all coming so that you can become a part of our story and telling the Araminta story.
Thank you.
I also appreciate you all coming. It gave me a chance to give some of the information I've learned throughout the years to other people that I did not know or who didn't take the classes with me, or a couple of the classes, or just heard it throughout my school, because they'll bring stuff from other classes from previous years up all the time. And if you've taken those classes, then you're in luck. If you haven't, then, well, we'll see. So I was happy that I got to present my findings, my work to you all. And yeah, thank you.
All right, and mamas, if you have any appreciations, we would love to hear them.
This is Cecilia. I'd like to say thank you, and I appreciate the education that I received from listening to the parts of this that I did listen to. I appreciate the connection that I have made with you all. And I look forward to a continued relationship.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I want to say thank you. I appreciate that you all did this. Ayodele, I appreciate you being willing to step up and do something like this at such a young age. I think that was both exciting to me, and it's also a wonderful kind of inspiration and model both for you, I think my children and for you and your parents, for me, as I step into my husband and I, who you saw walking around, step into our homeschooling journey and trying to, which we chose to do in part because the public school wasn't serving her needs and helping her progress in the way she needed, but also because I find myself having to correct way too much information that they're getting. And
Absolutely.
so that's probably, yeah, that's probably part of why I asked the question of, where'd you learn about these different scripts? We're always watching things and reading things and trying to teach them, whether it's the 4-year-old or the 10-year-old, how to kind of critically think about what did we just hear? What did they just say? And, let's think about that. And is it true or is it not? Or, how does it make you feel? What's the impact of it? And so I love that that's what you were doing with this.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Also, Mom, we have one of the services that Global offers is to consult, to help people put together their homeschool, and navigate through their homeschool journey, right? So if that's something that you're interested in, then feel free to reach out. Let me know about that. All right. Somebody just put something in the text chat. Tell me how to purchase your book. Okay. So you can get the book.
I See Me in University City.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Ayo, please save the text chat for me and email it to me so I have those email addresses. All right. You all have a wonderful evening, and we will be in touch soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you have the